Most men fight with the weapons they are handed by fate: talent, beauty, wealth, or charm. But there exists a single hidden trait, so ruthless in its efficiency that it tilts the battlefield in your favor, making every rival weaker, every ally more dependent, and every obstacle easier to break. This is the trait we are about to expose, the one that grants you an unfair advantage over all others. History does not reward the kind, nor does destiny honor the naive. Men are devoured daily, not because they lack ability, but because they lack insight into the true engines of power. The world is not governed by justice, but by strategy, by the invisible laws that dictate who dominates and who submits. In this lesson, I will unveil the single trait that allows you to bend these laws to your will. Strip away illusions, and you will see. Victory belongs not to the strongest, but to the most cunning. Men are deceived not by the enemy's sword, but by their own blindness. They believe that power rests in what is seen: wealth, titles, beauty, or strength. These are ornaments of influence, but ornaments are easily stripped away. So I ask you, if tomorrow you were robbed of all possessions, stripped of status, and forgotten by every admirer, would you still command power? Most would not, because most never learn the hidden nature of advantage. It is not talent alone, for the world is littered with gifted men who die poor and forgotten. It is not brute strength, for the lion is brought down by coordinated wolves. Nor is it charm, which fades with age, and the indifference of those who once adored it. The hidden advantage lies in your ability to perceive the battlefield differently from others. Think of Caesar Borgia, the ruthless son of a pope. He had armies, riches, and the favor of Rome. Yet his true advantage was not these things. It was his capacity to see beyond what men believed was power. He understood that loyalty bought with gold is fragile, but loyalty forged in fear and necessity is unbreakable. This insight allowed him to dismantle rivals stronger than himself until fortune betrayed him. Do you see the pattern? Men lose not because they lack weapons, but because they lack vision of where to strike. Consider psychology. The majority of people mistake confidence for competence. They follow the loudest voice, not the wisest one. They believe appearance signals truth, forgetting that appearances are crafted. If you can master the illusion of superiority, you already possess an advantage that the masses will never question. But here lies the trap: most chase superficial signals, hoping to copy them without grasping the underlying mechanism. They dress well, speak boldly, or flash wealth. But it is mimicry, not mastery. And mimicry crumbles when tested. Ask yourself, how many times have you seen a man praised for his intelligence, when in truth he simply spoke with certainty? How many leaders held power not because they knew, but because they appeared to know? The hidden nature of advantage is this: the one who defines the terms of reality wins the game. History proves it. Napoleon entered Italy not as the strongest general, but as the one who shifted perception. He transformed a starving, demoralized army into conquerors, not by feeding their stomachs, but by feeding their imagination with glory. Against larger foes, he prevailed because his men believed the impossible was inevitable. That belief itself became the weapon. Now, reflect in your own life. Do you cling to the obvious weapons: status, charm, credentials? Or do you wield the subtle ones? Do you merely present yourself as capable, or do you shape the very perception of capability around you? The subtle advantage is invisible. Your rivals will not see it until it is too late. Psychology calls this the framing effect. The one who controls how choices are presented controls the choices themselves. A man may think he is free, yet every decision he makes is already guided by the framework you provided. This is why power is rarely about who speaks loudest, but about who defines the conversation before it begins. But remember, this trait demands cold realism. You cannot indulge in fantasy. You must observe men as they are, not as they ought to be. Most are swayed by appearances, driven by envy, and weakened by fear of exclusion. When you see this clearly, you hold the hidden advantage. It is not the possession of wealth, but the understanding of how men react to wealth. Not the ownership of strength, but the recognition of how others fear strength. Not even knowledge itself, but the awareness of how ignorance can be shaped to serve you. This is why the hidden advantage is often dismissed. It does not glitter. It does not sing praises of your greatness. It simply works, quietly, beneath the illusions that distract lesser minds. So ask yourself, are you seeking to look powerful, or to become the one who decides what power even means? Because in every struggle, whether between nations, rivals, or even within families, the decisive factor is not the weapon in the hand, but the clarity of the mind guiding it. And here is the truth: most men will never accept. Victory belongs not to those who appear the strongest, but to those who see where strength is irrelevant. Now, you understand the hidden nature of advantage. But knowing it is not enough. You must learn to apply it, to seize control of perception itself. That is the second step, and it is where the true game begins. Power does not begin with strength. It begins with sight. Not what you see, but what others see when they look at you. Ask yourself, do men follow truth, or do they follow the image of truth? Do they obey the just ruler, or the ruler who appears just? History answers without mercy. Perception outweighs reality. Caesar was stabbed to death, not because he lacked armies, but because the Senate painted him as a tyrant. Joan of Arc, a peasant girl, led soldiers because she appeared touched by divine fire. In both cases, perception created destiny, not facts. This is the hidden theater of human affairs. Men live more in their eyes than in their reason. So I ask you, what do people see when they look at you? Do they see strength, even when you are uncertain? Do they see calm, even when you tremble within? Do they see inevitability, even when chance alone carries you? If not, you are already defeated, because men act on what they perceive, not on what is real. Psychologists have studied this under many names. The halo effect, confirmation bias, the authority principle. They all whisper the same truth: perception shapes belief, and belief shapes behavior. The clever man understands this and does not waste time trying to prove reality. He shapes it. Think of a court, a company, a kingdom. Who holds true power? Rarely the strongest. It is the one who defines how others see the strongest. The vizier standing behind the throne, the strategist behind the general, the advisor behind the CEO. They command through perception, while others exhaust themselves chasing visible glory. Have you noticed how silence itself can create an aura? The man who speaks little appears wiser than he is. His restraint forces others to imagine depth, when in truth, he may be calculating or even empty. Yet the perception of wisdom gives him power. Or consider the opposite, the loud, confident voice that masks ignorance. How often have you seen incompetence elevated, simply because it appeared wrapped in certainty? This is the cruel law: men believe what seems true, not what is true. And those who control appearances can dictate reality itself. But here lies the danger. Perception is fragile. Build it on shallow ground, and it collapses the moment you are tested. A single inconsistency, a single moment where the illusion cracks, and all your power drains like blood from an open wound. Therefore, mastery of perception is not the art of deception alone. It is the art of consistency. Every gesture, every silence, every decision must reinforce the image you wish to project. Alexander the Great believed himself descended from gods, and so did his soldiers. Why? Because he lived that myth with unbroken consistency, never doubting, never breaking character. His men saw divinity because he demanded they see nothing else. Now reflect: what image do you wish to command? authority, compassion, ruthlessness, inevitability. Choose it carefully, for once chosen, you must live it without fracture. Do not think you can reveal your true self and still retain power. Men do not want truth. They want a mask that comforts or commands them. Give them that, and they will follow. Show them naked reality, and they recoil in disappointment. This is why the wise man wears many masks, shifting them as the occasion demands, but never allowing the seams to show. And yet, the ultimate question remains. Should you let perception serve reality, or let reality serve perception? The naive answer is to cling to truth. The strategic answer is to use truth only when it strengthens appearance. When it weakens appearance, bury it beneath silence. Control of perception is control of destiny. The ruler who appears weak invites rebellion. The rival who appears kind invites exploitation. The man who appears inevitable, unstoppable, untouchable, rules without needing to fight. But here is the final paradox. To control perception, you must first control yourself. If your face betrays fear, if your voice wavers, if your body leaks the truth, then your illusion collapses. Thus, self-mastery becomes the foundation of perception mastery. Remember this: men are guided by their eyes, and their eyes are easily fooled. What is difficult is not fooling them once, but sustaining the image without fracture, until perception itself becomes reality. So ask yourself again, what do people see when they look at you? Because until you master this answer, all your talent, wealth, and ambition remain chained. And now, you must learn the next step, not merely shaping perception, but weaponizing time itself. That is the true art of patience. Impatience is the mark of the weak. It exposes fear, it reveals hunger, it betrays need. Yet most men are slaves to it. They rush to speak, to act, to strike, believing speed itself will deliver victory. But speed without timing is chaos. Action without calculation is suicide. The wise know a different truth. Patience is not passive. It is the sharpest blade. Consider the hunter. Does he charge the prey the moment he sees it? No, he waits. He studies. He lets the animal grow careless, lowers its guard, believes itself safe. And then, when escape is impossible, he strikes once and kills cleanly. So too in power. The patient man watches rivals exhaust themselves, expose weaknesses, and burn their own resources. He lets them reveal their desires and display their fears. Then he steps forward, with minimal effort, to claim the spoils. History is full of such men. Think of Octavian, who later became Augustus, the first emperor of Rome. When Julius Caesar was murdered, Rome descended into chaos. Mark Antony rushed with bold speeches and reckless alliances, trying to seize power immediately. Octavian, though young and underestimated, remained patient. He built his alliances quietly, bided his time, and allowed Antony's arrogance to fracture his support. Years later, Octavian crushed him, not with haste, but with precision. He understood that power is not seized in a single moment. It is accumulated, silently, until the right moment arrives. Now reflect. How often do you destroy your own advantage by acting too soon? How many times have you spoken words in anger, only to regret them? How often have you revealed your hand before the game even began? Patience is not weakness. It is restraint weaponized. Psychology proves this. Studies on delayed gratification reveal that those who can wait, who can control impulse, achieve far more in the long run. But this is not about mere self-control. It is about turning time itself into a servant. Every moment you wait, your rivals reveal themselves further. Every pause creates discomfort in others, forcing them to show their cards while you hold yours close. Have you noticed how silence in conversation makes others uneasy? Most rush to fill the gap, blurting truths they never intended to reveal. The patient man lets silence work for him. He watches, listens, and gathers intelligence, while the impatient one surrenders it. In negotiations, patience is deadly. The one who can wait the longest always wins. If you show urgency, you have already conceded power. The other party senses your hunger and will exploit it. But if you remain unmoved, if you let them stew in uncertainty, eventually they will fold to your terms just to escape the tension. Think also of war. Napoleon himself said that the greatest general is not the one who attacks first, but the one who knows when to wait. He described battles as games of patience. Both sides probing, testing, and feinting until one reveals a fatal error. The victor is not the man who rushed, but the man who endured. So I ask you, do you rush toward everything you desire, or do you let time ripen the fruit before you pluck it? Because here lies the paradox: the world worships speed, yet the greatest victories are slow. Power grows like a fortress, stone upon stone, unseen until the walls are unbreakable. But beware, patience is not passivity. Waiting without strategy is idleness, and idleness invites ruin. True patience is active. You watch, you calculate, you maneuver in silence, while others waste themselves in noise. Think of the spider in its web. It does not chase every insect in the air. It waits, still, silent, and when the prey enters its domain, the strike is immediate, merciless, and final. Patience arms you with inevitability. It wears down your rivals, exhausts their courage, and corrodes their will. When you finally move, they are too weak to resist. And yet, most men cannot master this weapon. Why? Because waiting demands strength. It demands that you endure uncertainty without flinching, that you suppress the primal urge to rush. Only the strong can wield it. The weak always betray themselves. So ask yourself again, are you the hunter or the prey? The spider or the fly? The emperor or the impatient fool who runs into his own ruin? Because the truth is clear. He who controls time controls the outcome. And once you master patience, you will need another weapon just as sharp: the art of detachment. The ability to strike without emotion. That is where our path leads next. Power belongs to the man who feels least. Emotions are the chains by which most people are bound. Anger blinds them. Fear paralyzes them. Desire lures them into traps. Compassion weakens their resolve, and so they are led, like cattle, by anyone who knows which emotion to stir. But what of the man who refuses to be stirred? What of the one who stands calm while others rage, who remains steady while others panic, who looks unmoved in the face of insult, betrayal, or temptation? That man is untouchable. History bows to such figures. Consider Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome, surrounded by enemies and plagued by endless war. His empire shook with rebellion, famine, and plague. Yet he wrote not of despair, but of control. He reminded himself daily that no man can disturb your mind unless you allow it. He ruled not only Rome, but himself. And that mastery of self kept him from the madness that consumed so many rulers. Now ask yourself, how often do you betray yourself through emotion? How many times have you spoken words in anger that armed your enemy? How many times have you begged out of fear, giving away more than you needed to? How often have you rushed because desire whispered lies of urgency? Your emotions are visible. Your face reveals them. Your tone betrays them. Your body leaks signals that others exploit. And once they know your triggers, they own you. This is why detachment is a weapon. Imagine two generals on the eve of battle. One storms in fury, red with rage, desperate to avenge a slight. The other waits in silence, calm, watching, calculating. Whom would you follow? Whom would you fear? The one burning with passion, or the one who appears carved from stone, incapable of being shaken? Psychology explains this clearly. Emotional regulation is power. Those who can delay their reactions control outcomes. Those who cannot are controlled by anyone who provokes them. The calm negotiator extracts better deals. The unflinching leader earns deeper loyalty. The detached manipulator maneuvers unseen, while others exhaust themselves in storms of passion. But do not mistake detachment for cold cruelty. It is not about killing your humanity. It is about mastering it. Anger has its place. Fear has its signal. Desire can be fuel. But only when you, not the emotion, decide when it is unleashed. Think of a sword. In the hands of a wild man, it flails without precision. In the hands of a disciplined warrior, it strikes only when needed, and always with lethal effect. Emotions are the same. Uncontrolled, they cut you. Controlled, they cut others. Consider also how enemies use emotion to trap you. Insults are designed to provoke rash responses. Praise is designed to make you lower your guard. Urgency is crafted to push you into mistakes. The detached man sees through these tricks. He knows that behind every emotional lure is a strategy. And he denies his opponent the satisfaction of reaction. Do you see the strength in this? When you are detached, you become unpredictable. No one knows how to move you, because you reveal no weakness. You are the still surface of the water, concealing infinite depth beneath. But let us go deeper. Detachment also allows you to manipulate others more effectively. If you are not ruled by anger, you can observe the anger of others with clarity and use it. If you are not clouded by desire, you can exploit the desires of others with precision. The detached man is not numb, he is sharpened. He does not lack emotion. He commands it, both within himself and within others. Ask yourself, who has more power? The man who screams in rage, or the one who provoked that rage with a single calm word? This is why great leaders, cunning strategists, and ruthless conquerors all cultivate composure. It is not a virtue. It is not morality. It is survival. And more than survival, it is domination. Detach, and you deny your enemy's control over you. Detach, and you turn time itself into an ally, for you are never rushed, never cornered, never reactive. Detach, and you will discover a frightening truth. Men who cannot control their emotions will destroy themselves, leaving the calm man to inherit their place. But even detachment is not enough. To truly dominate, one must also master the art of concealment. To know when to reveal and when to vanish into silence. That is the next secret. And it is deadlier still. Men believe what they see. And so, the one who controls appearances controls men. But here lies the greater truth. Revealing your intentions is surrender. The moment others know what you want, they can block you, weaken you, or turn your ambition against you. That is why strategic deception is not a choice. It is survival. Consider Hannibal, the Carthaginian general who terrified Rome. He did not march his army directly across the sea, where Rome expected. Instead, he crossed the Alps through impossible terrain. His enemies thought him mad, until he descended with elephants and soldiers onto Italian soil, striking terror where they least expected. Had he been predictable, Rome would have crushed him at the coast. His deception bought him years of dominance. Do you see it? Deception is not mere lying. It is the art of shaping expectations so that your enemy prepares for a battle that never comes. Now reflect. How often do you expose yourself? How often do you announce your goals, your desires, your weaknesses? You believe honesty buys trust. But honesty buys vulnerability. Every truth you reveal arms those who wish to control you. The wise man speaks not of his true designs. He cloaks them. He misdirects. He gives false signals, feeding others a story they will believe, while his real plan unfolds in silence. Think of politics. A ruler never reveals his endgame. He distracts the people with small reforms, promises, or spectacles, while building power behind the curtain. By the time his true aim is clear, it is already too late to resist. Psychology names this information asymmetry. Whoever knows more than his rival holds the advantage. But deception multiplies this power. You not only withhold truth, you plant false truths in the minds of others. They walk willingly into the trap you designed. Let me give you an everyday example. In negotiation, if you declare your bottom line, you have already lost. The other side knows where to press. But if you appear uncertain, or if you create the illusion of multiple hidden options, they hesitate. They fear pushing too hard in case you walk away. Your silence, your misdirection, becomes your shield. Or consider relationships. If you reveal too quickly how much you value someone, you hand them leverage. They can neglect you, test you, even control you, because your honesty betrayed you. If you reveal only fragments, if you remain partially concealed, you keep them guessing. Doubt creates pursuit. Mystery creates desire. Understand this: deception is not cruelty. It is the natural language of power. The fox survives not by strength, but by cunning. The serpent does not roar. It coils silently, waiting. Ask yourself, are you a fox or a lamb? Because the lamb announces itself. It bleats, it exposes, it trusts. And so it is slaughtered. The fox conceals itself, it leaves false tracks. It deceives the hunter into chasing shadows, and so it survives. But here lies the subtlety. Poor deception collapses when revealed. If others sense your trickery, they turn against you. Strategic deception, however, is layered. It is believable. It is reinforced with consistency. You must always hide your true aim behind a convincing mask. Think of a chessboard. The novice lunges at the king, revealing his attack too early. The master sacrifices pawns, feigns weakness, lures the enemy forward. Only when the trap is perfect does he strike. And the checkmate seems inevitable, as if destiny itself arranged it. This is the essence of deception, to make your victory appear natural, while hiding the threads you pulled to weave it. But do not be naive. Others will deceive you as well. Every smile may conceal ambition. Every promise may hide a dagger. The wise man does not grow bitter. He grows sharper. He sees the mask for what it is, but keeps his own mask even thicker. So I ask again, how much do others know of your true intentions? And if they know too much, do you realize how exposed you are? To live without deception is to walk naked in a world of hunters. To master deception is to hunt while appearing harmless. And yet, deception alone is not enough. To dominate completely, one must also wield the greatest weapon of control: silence itself. The silence that forces others to reveal themselves. The silence that makes men desperate to fill the void. That, my friend, is the next secret. Words are cheap. And yet, they are the currency most men spend recklessly. They speak without measure. They explain themselves endlessly. They confess fears, desires, and weaknesses in a desperate attempt to be understood. In doing so, they strip themselves bare before their rivals. But silence is priceless. The wise man learns that restraint in speech is not emptiness, but power. When you say little, you force others to wonder. When you say nothing, you compel them to reveal themselves. Consider the court of Louis XIV, the Sun King of France. He was notorious for his silences. Courtiers trembled when he listened without speaking, for they never knew what judgment formed in his mind. In their fear of his silence, they overcompensated, speaking too much, betraying themselves, exposing alliances. His silence made him seem godlike, and his few words struck like thunder. Ask yourself, do you speak to impress, or do you speak to command? Every word you utter either strengthens or weakens you. The man who talks constantly is predictable. The man who explains himself is already on the defensive. But the one who measures his words with precision becomes an enigma, and nothing is more feared than the unknown. Psychology confirms this. People hate uncertainty. Silence creates discomfort, and in discomfort, they rush to fill the void. A pause in conversation pulls secrets from their mouths. A withheld answer drives them to over-explain. You need only wait. and they will hand you the very information you sought. In negotiation, silence is a blade sharper than any argument. Imagine two parties at a table. One pleads, argues, and insists. The other listens, nods, and says nothing. Who holds the power? The silent one. Because the talkative party reveals need. The silent one reveals nothing, and therefore cannot be exploited. But silence does more than protect. It projects strength. When you speak rarely, others listen more intently. They assume your words carry weight, simply because they are scarce. A king who lectures daily is ignored. A king who speaks once a month is remembered. Think of the ancient Chinese strategist Sun Tzu. He wrote that all warfare is based on deception. Silence is the purest form of deception, because it cannot be interpreted until it is broken. You give your enemy nothing, while observing everything. Now reflect. How often do you betray yourself with needless words? Do you rush to explain when accused, showing guilt? Do you ramble in meetings, proving insecurity? Do you confess secrets in moments of nervousness, only to regret them later? Each word you give away is a weapon handed to another. Learn instead the art of economy. Speak less than necessary. Leave your thoughts unfinished. Answer questions with ambiguity. Allow silence to press upon others until they crack beneath it. But beware, the silence must be deliberate, not careless. If you seem confused, your silence makes you weak. If you seem composed, your silence makes you terrifying. Imagine standing before a rival who insults you. If you argue, you stoop to his level. If you retaliate in anger, you expose your temper. But if you remain calm, staring without a word, you turn his strength against him. His words fall into emptiness, and he looks the fool. Your silence becomes a mirror, reflecting his weakness back at him. Even in personal matters, silence seduces. Mystery provokes curiosity. The less you reveal, the more others invest in trying to understand you. They project their desires, their fantasies, their fears onto the blank canvas you provide. In silence, you gain control over their imagination. So ask yourself, do you wield words, or do words wield you? The economy of speech is the discipline of power. Say little, but ensure each word has weight, and when silence is stronger than speech, choose silence, because silence is not absence. It is presence magnified. But let me warn you, silence, while powerful, is not invincible. To turn silence into dominance, you must also learn how to transmute weakness into strength. To take what others mock, dismiss, or exploit, and twist it into a weapon they never expected. That is the next art. And it is one that breaks the chains of ridicule forever. Weakness is not always weakness. It is often the most overlooked weapon in your arsenal. Most men spend their lives hiding their flaws, terrified they will be exposed. They mask their insecurities. They deny their failures. They conceal their scars. But the wise man understands something different. Weakness, when used correctly, can be transformed into strength. Consider Julius Caesar. As a youth, he was kidnapped by pirates. Most men would have begged for mercy. Caesar did the opposite. He mocked his captors, told them their ransom was too low, and carried himself like a king even in chains. The pirates, confused and disarmed by his confidence, began to treat him with respect. Later, once freed, he returned with ships, captured them, and crucified them all. What appeared as weakness, captivity, became the stage for his future dominance. Do you see the principle? Weakness is not the end of power. It is the mask beneath which power can be built. Think of your own life. Do you scramble to hide your vulnerabilities? Do you let others define you by them? Or do you ask, how can this be turned into a tool? Psychology calls this reframing. It is not the flaw itself that matters, but the story surrounding it. A scar can be seen as shame, or as proof of survival. Poverty can be seen as humiliation, or as the forge that built resilience. Even fear can be seen as weakness, or as heightened awareness in dangerous situations. The difference lies not in the reality, but in how you present it. And here lies the Machiavellian truth: never allow others to weaponize your flaws against you. Weaponize them yourself first. Consider Abraham Lincoln. He was mocked for his awkward appearance, his gangly frame, his rural accent. His rivals tried to use these against him. But Lincoln embraced the ridicule, laughing at himself before others could. By owning his supposed weaknesses, he turned them into a source of charm and relatability. What his enemies mocked, the people loved. His flaws became his shield. Now imagine, what if you stopped hiding your weaknesses and instead turned them into tools? Let us go further. Weakness can also serve as camouflage. By appearing harmless, underestimated, or incapable, you lower the guard of your rivals. They waste no effort fearing you until it is too late. The small, quiet figure is ignored until he strikes. Think of David and Goliath. The giant underestimated the boy with the sling. That underestimation was fatal. Goliath's strength blinded him, while David's supposed weakness made his attack invisible. How many times have you dismissed someone because they seemed too small, too timid, too broken, only to find later that they had outmaneuvered you? Now reverse the question: how many underestimate you, believing your flaws make you powerless? What if you let them believe it, only to strike when they least expect? This is the art of turning weakness into bait. But there is another layer. Weakness can evoke emotions that strength never will. Pity, sympathy, underestimation. These emotions disarm others. They open doors that brute force would slam shut. A beggar can pass unnoticed where a soldier would be stopped. A humble request can achieve what a demand cannot. Yet the true strategist never wallows in weakness. He transforms it. He uses it until it no longer serves, then discards it. Ask yourself which of your weaknesses could be reframed into proof of resilience, which could be used as camouflage, which could provoke sympathy, lowering defenses, and which could draw out your rivals, luring them into fatal arrogance. Because weakness only destroys you if you believe it must. Remember, this power is never absolute. Every flaw hides an advantage. Every scar conceals a lesson. Every failure contains leverage. The masses cry over their shortcomings, but the few twist them into weapons. Think again of Caesar in chains, laughing at his captors. His weakness was theater. His composure in weakness terrified men more than open strength could. That is the lesson. So do not waste your life pretending to be flawless. Flawlessness is a fragile illusion. Instead, embrace your flaws and make them serve you. Because the enemy who underestimates you is already half defeated. But let me leave you with a warning. Turning weakness into strength is only one form of leverage. There is a greater law, one that governs all power, the law of pressing with minimal effort to gain maximum control. That is where we go next. Power is not gained by pushing harder. It is gained by pressing where it matters most. This is the essence of leverage. The art of doing less, yet achieving more. The ruthless ability to control men, events, and outcomes not by brute force, but by precise pressure. Do you believe kings command because they shout the loudest, or because they swing the sword with their own hands? No, they command because they understand where to press. They place one word, one gesture, one order in the right place, and thousands move for them. Leverage multiplies strength. Without it, you are just one man struggling against the tide. With it, you become the tide itself. Think of Archimedes. He declared, "Give me a place to stand and I will move the world." He spoke not of muscles but of leverage. One fulcrum, one well-placed rod, and the impossible becomes easy. Now translate this into human affairs. The fulcrum is not wood or iron. It is psychology. It is perception. It is dependence, fear, and desire. When you discover where another person's fulcrum lies, you no longer fight them. You move them. Consider the Borgias, masters of Renaissance intrigue. They rarely relied on open war. Instead, they found the lever inside every rival: greed, lust, ambition, or vanity, and pressed it. Enemies destroyed themselves while the Borgias watched. Was this brute force? No, it was the quiet science of leverage. So I ask you, do you know the levers of those around you? Or are you still wasting energy on frontal attacks, exhausting yourself while others control the game with a single finger? Leverage begins with knowledge. Every man has a weakness, a hidden need, a secret he protects. The fool ignores these. The strategist studies them. He listens while others boast. He watches while others reveal themselves, and when the moment comes, he knows precisely where to press. Imagine you are negotiating. The unskilled man argues louder, tries to dominate with volume. The skilled man asks one quiet question, timed perfectly, and the other side folds. Why? Because he found the lever. The conversation was never about the surface argument. It was about pride, fear, or hidden gain. History rewards those who find the hidden lever. Think of Napoleon. He understood not only battlefields, but the morale of his troops. A few well-placed words before battle made men fight like lions. He pressed on their pride, their hunger for glory, their fear of shame. With leverage, he turned ordinary soldiers into unstoppable armies. And yet, leverage is not always about others. It is also about situations. The patient general does not attack the enemy at full strength. He waits for winter, for famine, for internal conflict. Then he strikes at the weakest point, when minimal effort brings maximum collapse. Why fight 10,000 men, when hunger will make them surrender for you? This is leverage waiting for the exact moment when one push topples the structure. Now look at your own life. Where do you waste energy? Where do you fight endlessly, achieving little? That is the path of fools. The path of the cunning is different. He does not wrestle with obstacles. He finds the hinge, the pivot, the point of maximum effect. And with one motion, he conquers. Psychology teaches us that human behavior is predictable. People act from fear, from greed, from the need to be seen. These are your levers. You need not crush a man's will. Simply offer what he craves, or threaten what he dreads. He will move himself into your hand. Ask yourself, would you rather be the ox, straining under the plow, or the farmer, guiding it with a light touch? That is the difference between force and leverage. The ultimate law of leverage is this: power belongs not to those who fight hardest, but to those who press smartest. But here is the danger. When you master leverage, you risk underestimating others. For just as you seek their fulcrum, they may seek yours. Every man has a lever. Even kings, even you. The question is, will you discover theirs before they discover yours? That is the true battlefield. And in the next lesson, we shall confront it. Control is never seized in the open. It is taken in silence, through perception, through the invisible strings others never notice until they are already bound. The true strategist does not shout his power. He whispers it. He bends men without their knowing. He makes them walk into his design while believing it was their choice. Is this not the highest form of dominance? To rule without raising suspicion. To command without appearing to command. To hold power in plain sight yet never be named as its master. Reflect on this. Your advantage is not in force, but in subtlety. The iron hand is feared. The unseen hand is obeyed. Which one do you wish to wield? Now, I leave the question to you. What methods have you seen or used to guide others without their awareness? Speak in the comments and let your insight join the shadows. Subscribe for more strategies. Share this with those bold enough to face such truths. For knowledge unshared is power wasted.